All right, I'm back. And the clip from a year ago is still true. Here we are. It's almost December, and I plan on streaming every day through New Year's. And actually, I wasn't able to do that in preceding years, but I think we'll be able to do it this time. Yeah. All right. I don't know why this is not working. I was going to do something here. I think I was going to try to add um, like an ID of the node. Is get instance ID a thing? Sure. Let's try that. Basically, I wanted to be able to keep track of like when we're seeing, oh, this health is disabled and it's enabled. Is it relating to the same thing? So let's try that, and then we'll put on this. Okay, so disabled true with this ID. So you can see here it instantiates the health, and then we convert it into a preview. So it updates the health. Like an echo. Anyway, we can see it's disabled true, and then do we see, yeah, 1122 down there, disabled false. So if it's not dead and it's not disabled, then why don't we see the bar and the label? I don't know. So if we look remote, what's going on over here? So here's the obstacle that we placed. It has a health component. It has a sprite 3D. Enable transparent, double-sided, fixed size. Okay. And then we have a sub viewport container that's hidden. And it should be, because, oh, interesting. So just like touching that did something? I wonder, instead of so what we've been doing is affecting the visibility of the health bar. Visible. So maybe we don't want to toggle that. Maybe we should just toggle the sprite of the health. Let's try that. So instead of doing this, okay, I think we've established that this is being run. So if dead or disabled, we want to do we have a reference to the sprite? We can have a reference to the sprite. So if the sprite's not visible, we don't need to set the values for the health bar. There we go. Let's try that. See if that works. Okay, so we don't see the health bar, and then we do see the health bar. If I move this around like this, and I place it, This should take damage, but it doesn't look like it is. It's weird. Okay, the turrets are working. That's interesting. Why are the boxes not taking damage? Give me scrap. It's like they're... Oh, I see. So the something is causing the health bar to not update. I guess we didn't have this condition around them being dead before. I'm just gonna remove that, and we're only gonna do I'm gonna do it like that. See if that fixes the weirdness. Like, we should see the boxes reduce health. But they don't. They just sort of disappear. Yeah, like that one did. So if I... Have I just broken... No, so like if I hit the zombie, its health goes down. As hard as that is to see. So, why? Something I'm doing an obstacle in here. Okay, so we have replacement preview nodes where we free that. We clear it, we show the mesh instances, we restore the collision layer, we undisable health. That seems to be undoing all the things that we did. We don't need to reconnect the health signals, that's all fine. Something we did in here. So what have we done so far to health? So we added disabled, and we made a getter and setter for it. We made it so that when we set disabled, we update display. I mean, I don't know. Let's move these things out of this, and then I guess this can be more concise, right? We just want to say sprite visible is not disabled. Things can't die if they're disabled. What calls die? Just this, right? Theoretically, other things could. I think I will... Hold on. What... Does anything else call die outside of health? Okay, so I don't know why... Like, this should be essentially private then. If it's going to be like that. Okay, well, let's stop and restart the game and see how that's affected things. I mean, visually this looks good, but like... when the zombies path next to things, they do damage things. Like this zombie should be attacking this wall, and so this wall the wall of boxes will get destroyed, but the health is not getting updated. So you can see here, obstacle combat. Obstacle took 10 damage, remaining HP 70, but the numbers aren't updating. Why? We've done something. We've done something that's caused let's look at the health scene. That's what we're on, right? Of course. Let's go 2D. No, 3D. Alright, there's nothing. There we go. There's the sprite. So there's sub-viewport container. We have hidden. Because if we didn't, I don't know, it's really weird. Why? So whatever is going on, it only is affected when we hide and then show the sprite. If we don't hide and show the sprite, then everything works normally. It's the act of hiding and showing the sprite that breaks this apparatus we have. Basically what we're doing is we have a sub viewport, so like we have 2D UI components that are being rendered onto a sprite in the 3D world. So when I do this, yeah, you can see stuff is being rendered up here. Ah, but now this works. So the fact that sub-viewport container is hidden is maybe a problem. It interacts with that in some way. What if we cheat and just move it off screen and then run the game? I mean, if it works. Now we don't see any values. We have no health bars at all. Well, so that didn't work. In fact, what did I just do? I don't see a difference. Interesting. Move canvas item VBox container. Oh, I see. I moved to the VBox container. I didn't mean to do that. I meant to move the sub viewport container. Yeah, move canvas item sub viewport container. Okay, so if I go back to the game now, hey, we can see stuff. And like if I beat up a zombie here, we can see his health going down. We can also see zombies coming by and breaking up the boxes. All right, cool. So that was a bit of work to make all this come together. I think the health component stuff we can check in as a separate commit, because it is a thing that we could have done at any point, to enable the ability to provide the capability of disabling the component. And then we have obstacle placement, and then obstacle preview we're going to delete. Obstacle preview, no more. Okay, so we go back here. Let's reload the project just to make sure that Godot gets the fact that we've removed those files. Obstacle GD line 36. Obstacle GD line 36. Oh, that's fine. That's cannot invalid access to property or key name on obstacle type. We don't necessarily need. Do we have scene file path? No, I'm just gonna remove all of that. I'm just gonna do this. Script inherits from native type static body 3D, so it can't be assigned to an object of type node 3D. Where did that come from? Where indeed? Hey, hello. How do I say pseudo, please? How's it going? Just wrapping up a pretty significant refactor of my placement logic. Okay, so that error is normal for that. Line 53. Do you recognize that name, Brainless? Should I recognize that name? 1 second. Please excuse me as I look at my other screen for a moment. Ooh, interesting. So you do you stream pseudo, please? It looks like you maybe haven't in a little while, but you were. I'll drop you a follow in case you ever do again. Yes, everyone on Linux types and thinks at least once a day. That's true. That's true. And thank you for the follow.
Pseudo just followed.
It's true. I used pseudo twice today for my Nix OS updates, or was that yesterday? Recently, anyway. Okay, what was I doing? I was trying to figure out why were these 53. Oh right, obstacle type may not have a. Let's just do that. It might not be set in the context of tool evaluation in Godot. Yeah, Brainless Society, you never know when you'll run into them. Okay, so I think that's fine for now. I could have a thing where it's like if it's a tool invocation, then skip the check, but anyway, let's close other tabs. Let's cut down on the noise. I think I was just going to like get the rest of the stuff committed, right? So in obstacle placement, we moved a lot of things out of here and to the obstacle class. We got rid of the obstacle preview files altogether. Excuse me. Obstacle expanded to handle preview as well as actual obstacles, as in like turrets and walls and stuff. Oh, thanks. Yeah, it's it varies. Sometimes it's darker and sometimes it's lighter because the dye washes out. But try to keep it up. It's a nice. I like red. As a developer, do I know the hex color value of it? Well, like I said, it varies. So if it washes out a bit, it's more of a pink. It is like no, because it's a bunch of different colors depending on how long it's been since I put more in, and how evenly I got it in there, and occasionally I will mix up the color a little bit. But my default for the last, boy, I guess it's been like nearly 10 years is this. Okay, I'm just gonna commit all that. 660000. Do I have a? That's a bit dark. I think out of the tube, the dye might actually be like that deep of a red. But yeah, once it's applied, and then of course, like, you know, my hair is a little shiny. It's not it's not dull, so you get some specularity, right? All right, I want to push this up. So we've done some things. We have refactored the existing obstacle preview code to remove obstacle preview as a thing. Now we need to extend the shooting obstacle to show a range when in placement mode. This is why I was thinking we wanted that Boolean. So how would we do that, given what we've built? Right, so if we look at the base class of placeable obstacle, what we want to do and this is why I do want separate methods for let's see, let's think about this. Can we rename this to something a little bit pithier? So this is essentially going from preview mode to placed mode. Maybe it should just be reset after preview. And then what we want to do is we want to take all of the logic that's responsible for putting us in preview mode into a method. And the reason is so that we can override that method in a subclass. Right? So then we, yeah, it could be called create preview. Let's maybe add some documentation. Oops. Create a visual preview of the obstacle for placement mode. I guess this could be like enter placement mode, exit placement mode. That would be maybe a better name. Enter placement mode. Exit placement mode. Okay, I like that. I like the symmetry of that. Yes. I'll get the draft PR going just so I don't forget. I don't know in the next 30 minutes if we're going to be able to get this fully done, but I'll get the draft PR open because I like to develop in the open, right? And I mean that's what we're doing on stream, but like the whole project Nom Zom Defense is on my GitHub. It's AGPL 3. People could fork it and work on it themselves, submit pull requests, all that stuff. I don't know what I'll do in that circumstance when I guess even with third-party contributions, if it's all licensed AGPL, I can still bundle it and put it on Steam. Just because it's GPL doesn't mean you can't sell it. You just have to offer the source code, which is what we're doing. So I think that's fine. What we are doing here is we're adding visual range indicators for turrets. Closes 231. And we will keep going. So now that we have like figured out what our methods are going to be for adding and removing preview things for placement and shooting obstacle, we need to figure out how we're going to show a preview of the range. Maybe a sphere? A sphere is cool. It implies something. Yeah, maybe we could do a sphere. Do we have a scene file for... We do. Okay, so let's look at shooting obstacle. Shooting obstacle TSCN. Ignore those errors. There's not a lot in the scene, but we can add a child node, and this is going to be a something. Node 3D. I mean, it's probably not. I mean, it just needs to be another Node 3D, right? I don't think there's a more specific thing that we would want to add. I looked briefly into decals, right? So using a decal to render the radius for this. So decal is a node that projects a texture onto a mesh instance 3D, but this node doesn't have the mesh instance. It could still work. Do I want to go down that road, or do I want to do something else? I think maybe I want to do a decal. I think the sphere idea is kind of cool for like it could be like a semi-transparent kind of sphere that you would see, but it does add a lot. It could add a lot of noise to like the placement preview, whereas if it's just projecting onto the ground, I don't know. I've never used this before. I think one thing is going to be that in order for us to use decal, we are going to have to use forward plus or mobile. Currently we're on compatibility for no particular reason at all. So if I switch this to forward, hopefully we get more than a black screen. Okay. Forward plus, that is. Okay, so we have a decal. Now, I've only briefly looked at what decals are and do. So we can add a texture. Can we add a placeholder texture? And we'll make it, I don't know, 64 by 64. What does that do for us? I have no idea. Parameters. Vertical fade. Distance fade. If true, decals will smoothly fade away when far from the active camera 3D, starting at distance fade begin. Okay. Cull mask. Specifies which visual instance 3D layers this decal will project onto. By default, decals affect all layers. Seems fine. You made an animation of my hair color. Can you share the link? Yeah, you can share it here. There is also a community Discord if you're interested, which is accessible there. It's pretty quiet. It's mostly me sharing follow-on updates after the streams, and occasionally Brainless or others will chip in there. Ooh, Claude AI. I don't think I've ever clicked a Claude AI link. Oh, I see. Yeah. Oh, that's neat. Can I pull that into a window? Sure. that is something like that, but over the course of like 2 months. And then okay, it's similar to sharing with OpenAI chat. Neat. Thanks for sharing. You took 3 scientific samples with a color picker. Sure. You know, I could get closer to the camera, and then you have 2 cameras that might have different color spaces. Anyway. Well, no. Okay, so what is this whole decal thing about? So I've done something, and I've added it to the shooting obstacle. So now if I run the game in forward plus mode, what happens? We get a black screen, for starters. Okay, there we go. If the game loads, that's a good sign. We'll go into our test scenario. Ooh, okay. So that behaves a little differently. In forward plus. Okay, so there's our decal. Right, and this doesn't get the decal because it's not a something that extends shooting obstacle. So that did something. Let's I think for now, let's explore. Let's go back to compatibility. Brainless says, I'm generally very against AI, but I will take a look. Obviously, Saban wasn't too impressed, and you put in more effort. I mean, it's some color samples with some animation. I guess the question is, like, how many words, like, did you have to iterate at all? Was it like, how small was the prompt that got you that result? Okay, so we're gonna try a different approach instead of using decal, because I'm not sure if I want to commit yet to switching to forward plus as a renderer. Let's instead add a node 3D. Actually, not a node 3. Can we just add a mesh instance? There's also CSG mesh 3D. So I've been, according to the docs, the CSG stuff is kind of only supposed to be for prototyping. Like, you shouldn't ship a game with it, according to what I read. But we can do a mesh instance. And then we can do do we have a sphere mesh? We do. Nice. Okay. So that's a start. And then surface material override, we're going to make a material. Do a standard material and see if we can get away with that. My main issue with it, Brainless says, is that new developers use it and don't bother to learn. They get stuck and can't move on. I don't mind it for developers that know what they're doing, need from it, and just want to make it faster. I mean, everyone starts somewhere, right? So I think there is a danger, right? People that are starting out that never, like, if you just take what it gives you and you don't try to learn from it, you're not going to learn. Which is true if it's you're copying and pasting from Stack Overflow, Googling, whatever you're doing. If you're not trying to learn, if you're just trying to apply what other people have done without trying to learn, you're not going to take anything away from it. And whether that's AI, Googling, Stack Overflow, out of a book, whatever it is, it's still true. I think it is easier to think that you can just get away with copying and pasting what AI gives you because you can tell it your problem and it will try to customize things for you. But it's not even that it lies, because it can't lie because it doesn't have intention. It is just a statistical model. So it's going to give you the thing that is statistically likely based on its training set. And whether that's true or not is completely unrelated to its function. So yeah, transparency we want. Want some transparency, and we want albedo, and we're gonna want a nice red color, I think, for our preview, and we're gonna turn down the alpha. So we essentially want a range preview of, like, what is the range of the turret. And so we're doing a sphere because that's an easy shape to do. And so if we start the game now and we go into our test scenario, we don't get okay, so that doesn't work because we don't get a preview of the mesh, because in the obstacles we have this mesh instances. Oh yeah. So we have to do this in the turret. In turret, basic turret. There we go. We have to change the mesh instances to add our. Well, let's rename this. So if we go back to shooting obstacle, this is going to be range preview. I think makes sense. And then so in here we assign range preview to the set of things that are mesh instances for this, for it being placeable. And so when we run the game, that mesh should be included in our preview. I think unfortunately it's going to get colored green. Right, so when we do this, you can see that. Oh, the let's see. So shooting obstacle, range preview. The mesh needs to be bigger. The radius needs to be like, well, it needs to be the actual radius of the attack, but we'll get there. Oh, and height, it should be the same. There you go. Okay, so now it's no longer clickable because the mesh is in the way. Okay, so you can see we get a preview of the range because of the sphere. It looks like I can no longer right click. So our we broke something there. What's going on in chat? Brainless had a younger cousin. Oh, I lost it in that preview. Fresh out of college, he was asking me for help prepare for an interview. But when we met, he was like, I asked ChatGPT to do this for me. I have no idea how to explain it. And he ran it for like an hour. Yeah, sure. I mean, if you have someone write everything for you, then, you know, what have you got? Looking for entry-level job at the moment. Yeah, I will say, I've run interviews, and I've been fortunate to be in various positions in the past where the interviewing process was fully up to me. And my preferred interview has very little whiteboarding, but a lot of a thing I really like to do in interviews is have people read code and evaluate it and give feedback, because it can reveal a lot. And I think reading code is definitely in the past I think it's even more underrated now, because especially if you're using AI tooling, you're going to spend a lot more time reading code in that kind of scenario. But in general, very bad at doing interviews. Yeah. He tries to talk his way around the questions. Sure. Yeah. I think those big, long, like multi-day interviews, I wouldn't do. And I'm not going to subject people to if I can help it, although those things are not necessarily in my hands, depending on the context of the employer, right? Yep. I had at one company some sample of some actual production code that we had inherited, and something I was very familiar with that had a lot of issues at like different levels. So like none of the code was like, it was never a matter of like, oh, find the missing semicolon, but like, how is the code organized? What are things that you shouldn't be doing? Those sorts of things. There are lots of things that were wrong with it at different levels. So it was a tool that I was able to use at like multiple levels of interviews, like from like folks that with like 1 year or less experience, and folks with like 5, 10, 15 years of experience, that was able to get something out of having that as part of the interview. Yeah, I think if you are really going to do an interview where you are attempting to see the person do the work in the environment and in a way that matches how they would do things in real life, then AI coding tools are a part of it now. So maybe that should be part of it. I don't know. I think it's going to emerge over time. And hey, Gray, hello. Welcome. Procrastinating coding by watching other people coding. Are you working on game dev stuff or something else? Like Sudo Please is asking, what's your project? Let's see. How are we doing on time here? Can I figure out why I can't reclaim the turret? How does the right click on turret to reclaim work? Let's see. Let's exit the game and let me think about that. So, is that a function of the base obstacle? So we have a remove function that does things. What calls remove? Something in here? No, nothing in here. So that must be something that is... Oh, no, I don't want that. Target obstacle remove. So we're doing that inside of the main script for the game. So handle obstacle remove click does we project a ray from the camera, and we do some ray casting with a collision mask to... I mean, mesh instances don't have collision. yeah, you're still playing some Whiskerwood Brainless. I think that's what we'll be playing on Wednesday this week, because I do want to get back to some RimWorld as well. So that'll be the Friday stream. Dumb GPT, huh? From scratch. Wow. Sabin does. Godot provide tools for multiplayer online games, for example, networking? That's a good question. So there is like an asset lib thing. So it's kind of like there is it's kind of a parallel to what's in Steam, or not Steam, but Unity, which I've not done a lot of stuff in Unity, but I have opened it once or twice. So there's like a content store. I don't know if there's stuff baked in to Godot. I've not really thought about doing any multiplayer stuff. I'm fairly new. I've only touched Godot this year. I think I started in like maybe May. Networking. Okay, there is a section in the docs about it. So high level multiplayer. Okay. So there's like a multiplayer API built in, but I know nothing about it. Brainless said, "Yep." Yeah, Godot. Yeah. Still 10 FPS due to the size of the colony. Yes, you have so many little mice. Grace says, "Was procrastinating by looking for training data, but now procrastinating by procrastinating." Yep. Well, welcome. Okay. So the sphere shouldn't be blocking the raycasting, because the mesh shouldn't interact with the anything. So let's take a look at, if we run the game, get our test scenario going, we place this. Right click raycast did not hit anything, it says. So that might be a thing where we've broken the collision. Y'all watch today's GP. What is GP? Oh, Grand Prix. That's a medical doctor in the UK. Yeah, general practitioner. Yes. No, it's not a thing I'm really plugged into. Anyone else here? See any Grand Prix? All right, here's our basic turret, and it has a range preview. It has static body 3D. So inside here is a collision shape. But no, it's the static body that has the collision. Aha, collision layers aren't there anymore. That'd be why. So we are supposed to set collision layer based on the saved collision layers. That is the right property, right? Why did that not happen? So if I look at, let's go back to local, and we go to entities, template, no, sorry, obstacles, templates, base obstacle. Yeah, collision layers, 2 and 6. So why? Did that get reset? Maybe... Ooh, did I... Oh, somehow the collision object doesn't have these things set on it? How did that happen? That's strange. Let's check all the intermediate ones. It's fine. That's odd. Okay, well, let's play the game now. Did that fix our collision issue? Yeah, okay, now I can right click and remove it. So, remaining issue is that the range preview shouldn't be visible after it's placed, and when we are placing it, we don't want it to be colored like the other meshes. So the reason everything is colored is because in interplacement mode, we find all the mesh instances in our array of mesh instances. And we... Oh, I see. So what I should do here is I should change... Hey, Elisa. Welcome in. Give me 1 second to finish my thought, and I'll read the rest of your message. Let's stop the game really quick. So I think in basic turret, we need to remove the range preview from the list of mesh instances. And then we're going to add an overridden method in the shooting obstacle that will add the range preview to the placement preview node. Yes. And then I think by default in basic turret, range preview is hidden. That's good. So what we need to do in shooting obstacle is we need to override interplacement mode to do add placement range indicator. Yes. Okay. And your question was, do I use other tools except for Godot and Git for development? So I'm using VS Code. I am paying some money as well to a couple of AI things. So OpenAI, I use like ChatGPT for a lot of like brainstorming and stuff. I don't show a lot of that on stream, but that's kind of like where I will ideate on things. In fact, I think I have a tab of that open that I can show, right? So I was thinking about some ideas for having it so that the survivors in the scenarios in this game will actually go out and have to construct defenses and then be vulnerable to zombies and those sorts of things. So kind of thinking about that sort of thing. So ChatGPT for that. I'm using GitHub Copilot to do a lot of both like fancy autocomplete in VS Code, but also some AI generated pull requests directly on the GitHub website using GitHub. That's a tool, right? I'm using Blender. Hold on, what's the list? I've done a little bit of Blender on stream. I'm also using Inkscape for vector art, Krita for raster, like textures and stuff. I have Audacity. We haven't really done a lot of audio stuff, but that's in the toolbox. There's a tool called FontForge that I'm about to use because I have been slowly working my way through making a custom font for this game. So that'll be coming out of Inkscape into FontForge. I also have Sprite that we were playing around with earlier on one of the other practice games. We're doing some like pixel art stuff there. So yes, other tools is the short answer. But yeah, so like Brainless said, welcome to the stream. I usually, so I'll say this. So usually throughout the year, I stream some coding streams on Sunday morning, and then I do some gaming streams a couple times a week. From now through New Year's, I will be streaming every day. Check the schedule here on Twitch if you want to see the details, but essentially either in the mornings or in the afternoon or evening, 7 days a week I will be streaming. Wednesdays I'll actually be doing 2 streams, so at least that's the plan. So it'll be a combination of working on this Godot project. I have some web dev stuff that I also was working on earlier this year and last year that I'm going to be coming back to. And yeah, thanks for the follow.
Elisa787B just followed.
That makes that means we've reached our completely arbitrary goal of 320 followers. So thanks for that.
We reached our followers goal of 320. Thank you, everyone.
I am going to be playing some games this week as well, like I said. So Modded Minecraft, I'm doing a run of Greg Tech New Horizons, which if you haven't heard of, is a ridiculously large mod pack for Minecraft. Yeah. A nice goal and 100 more. Sure. In fact, you know what? I think probably Twitch auto set a goal, but we're going to change it. We're going to see if you've inspired me. We're going to change the auto goal, and we're just going to go to do that. We're going to say do that because that's much more fun than just being like 10 more. This is a much more ambitious goal.
Goal started.
420. Anyway, and then we're going to be playing some Whiskerwood, I think Wednesday night, and then RimWorld Friday night, and then some other things in between. But for now, I need to go see about getting some lunch. So we're going to wrap up here. And yeah, Whiskerwood. We got to keep that colony going, right? But for now, I'm going to remember to commit what I've made, the changes I made so far, and push it up to that draft PR that I have going. I did open it, right? Pretty sure I did. Somewhere here. There it is. So I'll continue to work on this PR, but in the meantime, we're gonna find someone to raid.